The rain taps against the window like a tired man knocking for a place to rest. Another dreary night in the city. The kind of night that gets into your bones and doesn't let go. The city's drowned in shadows, a blur of wet streets and occasional huddled figure pushing through the rain. I consider myself a bit of a wise man, a detective. At least that's the line I feed myself when the night stretches long and the city's problems crawl under my skin. A sleuth with too many scars, too much time on his hands, poking at the bones of other people's lives. The kid's name was Joseph, and the moment he stepped through the door, I knew he was in trouble. There's a look some people get when life's about to swallow them whole, like a deer caught in the headlights. Only this time, there's no car, just the dark. And Joseph, he had that look. He told me about his fiancée, the girl who was supposed to be his future, now with someone else's child. A betrayal that doesn't just go skin deep, but rips right into the core of him. Usually it's a case I'd toss aside. Cheating spouse, lost love, same old song. But something in the way Joseph was slumped there, so utterly lost, hit me harder than I expected. I don't know what he thought he was going to get from me, but I offered what I could. I was on the case. Just last night, this bird was crying on my desk, and now he is here smiling, and his voice sounded different this time, lighter, like a man who had found the answers to all the questions he didn't know he was asking. He told me he was calling off the case, that everything had changed. Did he lose his mind? Grief can do that to some people. His explanation: he had a dream last night. Oh no, a vision, he says. An angel spoke to him, so he'll be marrying his fiancée after all. An angel? Really? I've seen a lot of things in this city. Dirty deals, double crosses, men selling their soul for a quick buck. But I had yet to see divine intervention. Oh, poor Joseph. He says the child is the Son of God. Is he completely lost it? He went on at this point, talking about the angel, about everything was meant to be. He started quoting the prophets of old. Jesus, he said, the child's name will be Jesus. I know the prophets. Who doesn't? Who in this rotten city isn't looking toward the promised Messiah? But at this point, we've waited too long. His time to come, if he hasn't forgotten us, must still be far off. The chance of witnessing it ourselves is negligible. Thank you, Detective, for listening last night, he told me. You helped me when I needed it. The weight of the conversation was sinking in. I hate to see a blind fool run madly off a cliff he refuses to see. The whole situation didn't sit right. People say I've grown cynical. I say I have learned the hard way to be realistic. In this city, you don't trust miracles. And Joseph's faith, it smelled sour to me. One way or another, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I found myself in a strange situation. I came here to get answers from Elizabeth. Elizabeth is Mary's cousin. Mary is Joseph's fiancée. Makes sense that she would know something, but she's not even home. Instead, I'm sitting in a dusty, cramped little living room staring across at her husband. He hasn't said a word since I walked in the door, but he sure is happy to communicate. I've asked him if he knows anything about Mary. This would be good news if I could get a clear story out of him. First of all, Zachariah hates children. Tragic. Zachariah had no childhood. He was forced to work even from an early... No, I think I've got it. So Zachariah and his wife didn't have any children. They are old, well past their chance. Live long and prosper. Their lives have been full of wealth and no weight. Kohen, priest, I see. Zachariah is priest, diligent in his customs. It was his turn to burn incense. The first useful clue so far. That's obviously an angel. Zachariah, like Joseph, claimed to have seen one of those divine messengers. It struck him with fear. Child. The angel brought news of a child? Mary's child? Not Mary's, Elizabeth's. In her age? Doubtful. But Zachariah was insistent, and I had to admit this was not something he could easily fabricate. A pregnancy is easy to confirm, especially when they are as far along as Zachariah claimed. For now, this was an accepted but baffling clue. Now, that's just an arrow. I can't work with that. Going right, moving forward, going before. The child would go before another. Prepare the way. The points suddenly connected in my mind like a line pulled taut. Zachariah was talking about the prophecy. Isaiah, was it? The voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. Zachariah was implying this child would be the one going before, preparing the way for the Messiah. And who might that be? No, let me guess. Mary's son, right? This old man, and no doubt his wife, they were the same as Mary, playing games with an old broken man, planting seeds of hope. Seeds, if revealed to be false, would throw those men in a deeper desperation than before, and to use the prophets and the promises in such a way. There's stuffy in here. The room cramped. The light's too bright. I couldn't think. I needed to clear my head. Rain. Days of rain. Like the city's trying to wash itself clean. There have been rumors for a while now. Not just Mary and Zachariah. Talk of a Savior. They say the prophets spoke of this time, that the divine promises are due. I've ignored them. Every generation said the same thing. They've all been wrong. I admit there's a part of me deep down that wants this bunco to be true. That's the past me. Back when I was young and hopeful, I saw the world differently then. I was like Joseph. I would see what was wrong with the city, the world, and wouldn't accept it. I hoped for change. I hoped for salvation. I don't hope anymore. It hasn't done anything for me. I need to talk to Mary. Hear the story from her. There are sure to be cracks I can find, but I can't contact either Mary or Joseph. It's as if they have left the city entirely. As if they left the city, perhaps that's it. There's a census taking place. I should have considered this earlier. The Fed are cracking down on crime by sorting the people, and so everyone must be registered in their own hometown. Now, I'm from the city, born here, grew up here, wasted away here. But Joseph, maybe not. If he was from elsewhere, he'd have to travel back home, and his pregnant fiancée would travel with him. The census information is protected, but I know a place, and I could take a risk. The Fed's delegated responsibility downward to the old man of the city. On the front, he's the mayor. But behind the scenes, this city has a criminal underbelly that runs all the way to the top. This was foolish, strictly speaking. I should steer clear and leave this case behind. Normally I would, but there was a quiet something deep down that pushed me forward. I needed to shut it up, and the best way to do that was with answers. Just in and out. Hence the information I need. Simple. Though perhaps not as simple as it once was. Before the incident, I could have walked in the front door, tipped my hat, graced a smile, and sweet-talked my way to a bit of exclusive info. Not anymore. The Don made sure of that. I suppose they never could forget the smell of frankincense and myrrh. But in the end, I preferred it this way. No unnecessary drama, less effort. They'll never know, assuming nothing goes wrong. Census. Here we are. Joseph, I don't know his last name. Let's see. How many can there be? 47. Oh, spelling differences. That makes 32. Check immediate families here. Joseph and Mary, Bethlehem, the city of David. Nothing to it, smooth as can be. As my mind returns, I find myself reflecting on my yesterdays and the increasingly fleeting prospect of my tomorrows. I feel a desperate need to shrink within my coat and vanish as best I could. Birds fly south as the season changes. Rivers find their way to the sea. A man who crosses the dawn sleeps under 6 feet by morning. If I feared one man in this city, it was Herod. Mind games, like a cat pawing at a mouse. It didn't feel good being the mouse. The desperate thought crossed my mind. I could suck him right in the mug, get a moment of satisfaction before I sent swimming with the concrete shoes, but I held my place. Herod was off, talking about how glad he was to see me. Even worse, he was smiling. I kept a sharp eye and a stoic face as I listened to the meanderings, and eventually I realized the missing piece of the story. He needed my help. You see, he too had heard the rumors of the times. Change was in the air. Someone to rise up and save the people, root out everything wrong with the world. There it was again, a Messiah. Few people chase something as fervently as those who are scared of it. And as I began to realize, Herod was afraid his personal kingdom would vanish in the face of the divine. So I played along. I told him what he wanted to hear, scraps of what I knew, rumors of things to be, enough to buy his trust and nothing more, and a proposition to save myself. After all, what am I if not a detective? Herod was keen on my offer, though I'm sure it was what he was aiming for from the start. It's simple enough. Just return with results of my investigation. Once I find the newborn Messiah, in return, Herod will forget about my past disagreements. It was a good deal. But the child, I'm not a fool. I knew what kind of person Herod was. He may have claimed that he wanted to worship the boy, but if the two met, there would be no such thing. The child would vanish. The end. Did I believe this child could be the Messiah? No. Maybe. There were doubts now. Too many pieces lining up to ignore. Joseph was starting to seem less crazy. The scriptures did speak of a time like this. The chessboard was set. Could I really expect to witness such a thing come to be? I would have to deal with this question later. I haven't done much good for others in my life. I wasn't given many opportunities to do so. Maybe I just hadn't chosen to. But right now, that quiet something deep inside was becoming less and less quiet. I could do something now, something not for myself. No matter the child's identity, I couldn't let Herod near him. Back in the office, grab what was needed. Then I'd be out of the city, change my name, lay low, settle down somewhere. Maybe in Bethlehem. Strange. I could have sworn I locked the door. Of course. Herod already sent someone to watch my place, in case I got spooked and ran. Just like I'm doing. I could feel the damp warmth of my side under my coat. I was lucky the bullet had only grazed my side. I would live through this if I could still make it out of the city. No more time. I need to go. I made it out of the city, somehow. I'm not sure how Herod's goons missed me. The bullet wound had been crudely stitched and ached miserably. Every pulse of dull pain, a reminder of what I had thrown away. It almost felt like retribution. What had I even been trying to accomplish? Trade my own life away for some child? Perhaps I had, for a moment, considered that unknown baby as my salvation. Even fleeting, I had felt like I was doing the right thing. It's amazing how fast intentions can betray you. Any bravado I had before was long gone, replaced once again with the bitter cold of contempt. At least that was familiar. A conversation caught my attention. It was a couple talking about where to stay the night. The census had overwhelmed every suburban town. Not a single motel available for guests. Probably the same in Bethlehem. That figures. The census. The feds would be paying extra attention to the new arrivals. I was beyond Herod's city, but who knows if his arm could still reach me out here. Better keep things safe. Let me off here, just outside of Bethlehem. What a place to be. When did the world lose its color? Long ago, perhaps. I wasn't one inclined toward the divine. Despite all I've learned and all I've known, all I have hoped and all I've worked toward, there was a cynical part of me that refused. That quiet something in me was screaming, echoing in my head and my soul. Please, please, I can't understand it. What are you telling me? I want to know. I want to believe. And then on that field, with naught but me and some sheep, my cynicism was undone. And so the angel said to me, "Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy, which will be for all the people. For today in the city of David there has been born for you a Savior, who is Christ the Lord." Perspective is strange. Suddenly I no longer lost my home, but was instead free from that awful, rotting city. And the ache in my side was no longer a painful retribution, but a warm grace that my life had been worth saving. Slowly all that weight slipped away, leaving just that something, that voice, deep inside. And finally I believed. It took a while to find them, but there they were. Mary and Joseph, not even in a proper room, but a cold garage outside a motel. It's amazing how differently I view him. Messiah, Lord,